2025 is almost wrapped up, and now is the perfect time to go back and check out some of the best free-to-play games that came out this year. From big AAA releases to surprises indie hits, 2025 actually gave us a solid mix of shooters, RPGs, party games, even some wild experimental stuff. And if you missed any of these games, don't worry, I got you covered. So sit back, relax, let's jump into 20 of the best free games of 2025. I already cover most of these games on my monthly free game coverage, but there are a couple of new ones here as well. I'm starting with one of the biggest games to come out in 2025, and that is Where Winds Meet. Where Winds Meet feel like a mix of Ghost of Tsushima and a classic Wuxia movie, but with a massive fantasy world to explore. The game literally came out a month ago and it's exploding in popularity, and at the time of recording the video, the game is having more than 135,000 plus concurrent players on Steam. The game actually set in the 10th century China, where you're playing as a young swordsman, and the game gives you so much freedom. You can literally play the game however you want. You can make your own character, choose your preferred difficulty. It even asks your preferred playstyle. You can literally play the game as a completely single player action focused open world game, or like a massive MMORPG. The story pushes you to explore mysteries in the world but never really forces you to rush, and the side quests, random NPCs, hidden areas make the world feel a lot more alive. The game is 100% free to play with no pay to win elements. Of course, there are battle passes, cosmetic items you can get, but these are not mandatory to enjoy the game to its full potential. Honestly, if you like open world adventure games, this one is definitely worth jumping into. And also the mobile version literally came out a couple of days ago, so always a good time to jump in and check out. Alright, next up we got Skate, and yes, Skate is finally back and now it's completely free to play. It is a big open world for skaters where you can hang out, practice tricks, crash, repeat, just vibe with friends. It is more like a social experience, social game, so there is no strict story. The whole point is to mess around in the huge city, filled with rails, ramps, gaps and weird spots to practice your combos. The controls are much smoother and easy to understand, and even falling down is fun because animations are goofy. The game really shines when you play with other people. You can join random sessions, try to beat each other tricks, and imagine some of those tricks that you can pull off if you spend a little bit more time understanding and learning the game. It's pretty cool, pretty casual, more like a chill sandbox playground for skaters. Definitely give it a try if you haven't played it already. Alright, next up we got Delta Force Black Hawk Down, the single player campaign that came to Delta Force earlier this year. A lot of people already forget about it. This one is a complete remake of the classic Black Hawk Down campaign, built from the ground up using the Unreal Engine 5. It is much more slow, methodical, hardcore compared to the multiplayer portion of the game. There are so many narrow streets, rooftop snipers, sand-filled towns and intense urban firefights. But right now if you go to the Steam page, you can see truckload of negative and mixed reviews on the game. That is mainly because the game is honestly way too hard to play as a solo player. It is nearly impossible to complete the campaign without the help of your friends. So if you're more of a single player guy, try to complete this campaign. I wouldn't recommend downloading this one, but if you got a few friends who love playing tactical shooters and enjoy a 6-hour campaign like this, I'm sure you're gonna have a fun time playing this one. FragPunk is one of the most refreshing hero shooters in years. It mixes typical fast-paced 5v5 gunfights with a card system that change rules every round. The game looks good, it plays well, but I feel like a lot of people already moved on. The tactical shooter market right now, it's a bit tricky to navigate. There are so many games that already have a core foundation, the game like Valorant, Overwatch, Counter-Strike, and honestly not a lot of space for a new game like FragPunk. But I had my fun playing the game at launch. The game had a very healthy concurrent play count, and in my review I mentioned the competitive aspect of the game. It's a bit overwhelming with this new shortcut system. It is unique and fun to play, but I found the casual modes, the arcade modes, are much more fun to play, and the shortcut system does work really well even in a simple game mode like Team Deathmatch. Overall, fun game. If you're tired of playing Valorant, maybe just give it a try. Blue Protocol Star Resonance is one of the popular RPG games to come out in 2025, and this one is basically an anime action RPG with some MMO element, and it does a great job blending open world exploration with some fast, flashy combat. You get to explore beautiful towns, forests, deserts, dungeons while playing through the story about different factions and mysterious powers. And honestly, to me, the game feels like a mix of Genshin Impact style action and traditional MMO co-op. I haven't spent a lot of time playing this, but I know it's very popular on Steam at the moment. So if you're into anime RPGs and want a free game with a big open world and fun combat, yeah, it is a very good option on the market right now. Alright, Sonic Rumble. This one is basically Fall Guys with Sonic characters, but with more faster and more chaotic dynamic gameplay. You can join races with tons of players and try to survive obstacle course, moving platforms, spinning traps, and crazy level design that send you flying off the map. The game is silly, colorful, and fun in short bursts, but one aspect a lot of people complain about is the monetization. It is absolutely predatory with extremely expensive skins, battle passes, subscription models, all this stuff packed into the game. It is a fun party game to play with friends, but just do not spend any money on the game, just play for fun. I did play the game a little bit, but I feel like I'm not the target audience for a game like this, but honestly not a bad game to jump in and have some fun. If you're a fan of sci-fi mech style shooters, Mecha BREAK is gotta be one of the best ones to came out in 2025. The game is all about jumping into these giant robots, mechs, and going full anime mode in PvP matches. It got deep customization. You can set up different frames, weapons, rockets, shields, and paint jobs and let you create your own dream mech, I would say. The gameplay and the matches are fun and very explosive, letting you dash around, fire missiles, burst into air. It is honestly feels a bit more like an accessible version of Armored Core if you ever played that game, but with a more brighter and arcade heavy style. Pretty fun game if you're into this style of fast-paced mech style shooters. Alright, Farlight 84. This is not technically a brand new game, came out in 2025, but this first person mode completely changed the way Farlight 84 plays, make it more feel like a modern hero shooter rather than a mobile style third person battle royale. This first person mode adds more seriousness and skill based gameplay to the game. It is much more satisfying now, especially if you love first person games like myself, but it is still Farlight 84, so it won't replace any big shooters like Apex, but if you're looking for a fun alternative option on the battle royale market, Farlight, it's a pretty good one to check out, so I feel like still worth mentioning in our today's list. Persona 5 Phantom X bring the classic Persona style gameplay but now into a free-to-play format without losing its charm. You still get that stylish menus, jazzy music and mix of school life plus supernatural battles. The story follows a new group of phantom thieves. While it's not directly tied to the original cast, it still carries their same spirit. It got that classic turn-based combat. It is smooth, flashy and easy to learn even if you are new to the series. And to be honest, I haven't really played any mainline Persona games myself, but if you love anime RPGs, story-driven games, anything Persona related, this one is 100% worth jumping into. Game of Thrones Kingsroad is an open-world action RPG came out in 2025 that sets in the Game of Thrones universe. It leans heavily into the political and the war side of Westeros. You get your own story to follow, plus you can join large-scale battles across iconic locations like Winterfell and King's Landing. Unfortunately, this game is not available in certain regions. It's not showing up on my Steam, so I never got to play the game honestly, but I heard good things about the story, the combat and the exploration. But as a free-to-play title, this one got some predatory monetization packed into the game with some pay-to-win elements. It is very disappointing and something to keep in mind if you decide to jump into the game. Next up we got SMITE 2, the next-gen sequel to the popular third-person MOBA SMITE. And this one takes everything the first SMITE game did well and give it a bit of a fresh layer of polish. Still got that unique third-person MOBA style where you play as gods from different mythologies, but the graphics and the animation are way more smoother. I would say the game is still super beginner-friendly compared to top-down MOBAs like Dota because you can actually aim your abilities. The game is still on early access on Steam and doing pretty decently at the moment, so if you're someone who enjoys the original game or if you're a new player looking for a fresh start, this is a perfect time to jump in. The free-to-play first-person shooter market is stuck with popular games that are doing really well, especially games like Finals, but all the other ones just come and go and nowhere to be found in a few months' time. But one game that really stand out in 2025, it had to be Arena Breakout Infinite. This one is basically free-to-play Tarkov but with cleaner visuals and easy onboarding. You load into a big map, loot everything you can find, fight other players, and try to extract without dying. The gunplay is hardcore and realistic, and the sound design help you to keep track of enemies through footsteps and gunshots. The game had a bit of a rough launch onto early access back in last year. It was only available on their official launcher, but now the game is fully available on Steam. Great time to jump in and enjoy one of the best games of 2025. Alright, moving on, next up we got few indie smaller titles that I enjoy in 2025, starting with a very casual game called Cheese Rolling. This one is one of those games that doesn't take itself too seriously at all, and you're literally chasing a giant cheese wheel down the steep hill while your character flips, trips and ragdoll all the way down. The physics are intentionally ridiculous and it is half of the fun. You can unlock new characters and try new maps and compete with your friends to see who actually reached the cheese first. Cool little party game. Everybody loved it on Steam and right now having overwhelmingly positive reviews, so you might as well give it a try and have some fun. Black STIGMA is one of those games that went under a lot of people's radar and I haven't seen anybody talking about this at the moment. It's a very unique third-person action style of a shooter and you're playing as masters from this rival organization fighting to dominate the city's underworld. It's a mix of third-person hand-to-hand melee combat and close-range gunfight with pistols. It is quite unique and feel like a fighting game meet with third-person shooter. It is primarily a multiplayer game with multiple game modes. There are 6v6 strategic matches, intense 3v3, 1v1 duels, there's a free-for-all mode, and at the moment the game is still on early access with mostly positive reviews. Splitgate 2 is one of those games that I was really excited to jump in 2025, but turned out it was one of the worst games came out. I already talked about the whole Splitgate 2 saga before, so I'm not going to talk about them again, but I feel like the game has a one last chance before it vanishes, and that is going to be the December 17th as they try to relaunch the game as Splitgate Arena Reloaded. And this version promised to bring the best of Splitgate 1 and Splitgate 2 combined into a one package with the classic arena shooter feel. But to be honest, I'm kind of skeptical. I kind of lost all hope, so I don't really expect too much from this launch, but of course it is something we have to wait and see in a couple of days time. Alright, moving on to an awesome third-person shooter that a lot of people didn't even knew that was free, and it is Arcadegeddon. This game initially launched back in 2022, but very recently went completely free to play. It's a very fun co-op third-person sci-fi shooter where you and your friends jump into an arcade world full of colorful enemies, loots, and bosses. The gameplay loop is very simple but fun. You run, shoot, upgrade your weapon, and keep pushing forward through different biomes, and each level has a different theme like a neon cities, cyber jungles, glitchy arcade stages, and the game constantly gives you new guns, power-ups that keep things interesting. At the moment, the only downside about the game is lack of players, and it shouldn't bother you because you can play the game solo, single player, and if you get a couple of friends, you all can simply jump in and enjoy without any hassle. A single-player story shooter that I surprisingly enjoyed in 2025 is had to be Darkenstein 3D. It is a retro boomer shooter inspired from Return to Castle Wolfenstein and old Doom games, actually made by an indie developer over 4 years. The story is very simple. You play as a hobo guy in this 1940s Germany whose loyal dog Gunther was kidnapped by Nazi during a raid, and now you gotta fight through enemy territory to get your dog back. Story is very simple but hilarious, but the gameplay is much more fun. It's fast, brutal, old-school first-person action. There's a pretty decent campaign, will take you around 5 hours to complete, so pretty good single-player game. If you haven't played already, you can download it right now on Steam for absolutely free. Next up we got 2XKO, Riot's League fighting game. It's finally here. The game launched onto early access, I believe in early October, and I kinda missed it all along. The game is on early access and at the moment it is only available on PC. You can download it completely free from the Riot client. It is a 2v2 tag team fighter with League of Legends champions. It's similar to something like Marvel vs Capcom but with League of Legends characters. The controls are very simplified so anyone can pick up, but there is a depth for hardcore players. At the moment the game is very much on early access. There are very few game modes and only 11 characters, but the core gameplay is very solid. If you're someone who enjoys fighting games and if you're playing on PC, you can simply download and play it, and hopefully the console version and a full release will come out in sometimes 2026. Rainbow Six Siege went completely free to play in 2025, as a lot of you guys already know, and now it's known as Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege X. With this new free to play edition, they added a new mode called Dual Front. It is somewhat different from the round-based core siege experience. This one is a 6v6 mode on a massive map, and both teams attack and defend simultaneously with respawns and operator stops on the fly. So it is overall much more casual and much more accessible for the new players, which I think is a great addition. But just like PUBG, as a free-to-play player, you won't be having access to the rank mode or the leaderboards. But if you're someone who never played Siege before, if you think that the game is too complex for you, and I think this is a very good starting point, and you can simply download and try the game for absolutely free. And finally, we are moving on to Battlefield REDSEC. a free-to-play spin-off of the Battlefield franchise that launched in October 2025. I gotta say, the honeymoon period is over for Battlefield REDSEC, but I've been playing the game more regularly and just having casual fun time with my friends, and it is a free-to-play battle royale mode and drop you into this huge map called Fort Linden where up to 100 players fight in squad, duo and try to be the last team standing. It got that signature Battlefield style destructions, vehicles, tanks, choppers and class system that pushes teamwork. Even include a brand new mode called Gauntlet, which is more like a faster paced round based elimination mode, and both modes are pretty fun to play. But the initial hype was completely gone at the moment. They need to push new updates, new content, new maps to the game to keep the gameplay loop fresh. It's a good time to jump in and enjoy if you haven't played it yet, and hopefully we'll see more stuff in 2026. Well, there you have it guys, 20 of the best free-to-play games that dropped in 2025, and honestly this year was packed with surprises, and 2026 is going to be even more popular with so many new games coming out. And as always, if you enjoyed the video guys, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe and stay tuned for more free-to-play game content like this. I'll catch you guys soon in the next one. Stay safe.